Welcome to OkState Daily. Casey Porter here, joined by Robbie Rainwater. Man, what a great weekend. I mean, it was like through all the frustrations of this, just kind of the difficulty level of getting everything meshed together, weather included. I mean, it all came together in a great way this weekend. The weather cooperated. You got to play one game each day. You got the 1 o'clock game on Sunday, and the Cowboys came through in all three games. What a weekend. I was there all weekend. I wish there was another game today. Yeah. Super excited. Couldn't be more excited on a Monday morning. So, Coach Rainwater, make it rain.
Yeah, I think it just, corroborates what we've talked about all season long, is that the potential and what this club is capable of doing and getting all the right pieces in order and getting your rotation in order. Like you said, I mean, it's like, you finally get to a point where you think the rotation's ordered, then you get a couple of games that get canceled or whatever because of weather or whatever the case is, or you have a setback with an injury, and like you said, it just kind of seemed to all fall in place and click this weekend with the weather and people being healthy and shows the potential of what this ball club is capable of doing. And so it was fun watching and, fun to see kind of a lot of different aspects of baseball all weekend, where you got to see long ball and a lot of runs scored on Friday, and then have to gut one out on Saturday and then get a big lead on Sunday and have to kind of maintain after whether it was a let up of intensity or whatever the case was. But got to see a lot of different aspects of baseball and what they're capable of doing. And like I said, it's fun to watch. And these are the type of weekends or ball games where you can't wait to go watch them again, like you just said. And so, and we've been on the other side. I mean, just quite frankly, we've been on the other side of that throughout the season too, of after a weekend, you were hoping it'd be a week or two before you got to see them play again. So, it's just been that kind of season where it's been up and down, and
yes.
and I know I keep repeating this over and over again on podcast of that competitive endurance that Coach Holiday talked about the first of the season, and that's kind of what you're seeing from the ball club, is that this weekend they had that competitive endurance and went out and competed hard and maintained that throughout the weekend. Maybe a little bit of a let up mid innings or late innings yesterday, but for the most part, saw them compete for a full 9 innings all 3 days.
100%. So just kind of from a coaching perspective, as you evaluate this and you look back on it, what player that played this weekend didn't have a positive impact?
Right.
I mean, literally every single kid that got put in the lineup, whether it be position player-wise or pitching-wise, positively impacted this weekend. You don't get those types of situations very often.
Right. Yeah. Just, like I said, up and down the lineup, you could pick out one game or one at-bat or one inning where offensively or defensively where somebody comes up big, and even, the one that sticks out to mind to me is the last out of the Saturday game, right? Where,
yes.
That's, just from a coaching, like you said, from a coach's standpoint of things that you pick out of things that kids are expected to do don't always stand out in your mind. You know what I mean? Going out and making, like we talk about with kids all the time, go out and make all the plays you're supposed to and a few you're not supposed to, right? Mm-hmm. And that one may have been one from somebody that's played 75% of their games in center field this year that goes out and makes a play that maybe they shouldn't have made, or it wasn't a routine play, or however you want to phrase it.
Both the 8th and the 9th.
Yeah. Those are the things that stick out to you. And so whether it was offensively, defensively, on the mound, whatever the case was, like you said, everybody contributed, and that's what was fun about it.
So Braden Smith got the first RBI of the game. And, when he gets on, he's an OSU base. He's not a second baseman. He's not a center. He's a baseball player.
Yeah.
More than that, like I use this with Alex Conover. So like you'll understand this because you'll know what I'm talking about. For those who haven't been around OSU baseball for long, you're going to be like, what is this? So whenever guys like you and I look on the field, we can't explain what we're saying, but we look at them and go, oh, that's what an OSU baseball player looks like.
Yeah.
That right there is like when you used to look at Zach Earhart or Rock Riggio or Carson Binge, you'd go, that's what an OSU baseball player is supposed to look like.
Oh.
So when I see Braden Smith, I look at him and I go, that's an OSU baseball player. Yeah. When I see Alex Conover or I'm going to leave off names, all of them
sure.
for that part. So to see Braden Smith get the whole series off with the start on Friday night because, man, OSU had to win this weekend. And to get that RBI, then to finish the Saturday night game, that is just so Braden Smith, isn't it?
Yeah, just like you said, just a baseball player. Right. Yeah. Just somebody that loves showing up to the ballpark every day and competes every pitch, competes every ground ball, every fly ball, whatever the case is, and makes an impact one way or another throughout the game or throughout the series or the entire weekend, every game. And so, just that's what you like to see from. That's the kind of ball players I like to watch. Not guys that are one-dimensional or just offensive heavy but don't play very good defense or whatever the case is. Guys that can hit the long ball, that can hit the ball in the gap, that can hit a duck fart over a shortstop's head or slap it the other way or drag bump for a sacrifice bunt and then go out and just be gritty on defense too. That's what you're talking about. Just a baseball player, that's somebody that fits the brand of OSU baseball. And so, he's very fun to watch, like a lot of them are, right? And going back to what you were saying, and that they all had an impact in one way or another throughout the weekend. But it's fun watching. For me as a not just a former player and a former coach, and now just as a fan or a dad of a player at the high school level. It's fun to watch the different aspects of baseball, right? Whether it's the long ball or the guy that's going to hit it the other way, the guys that come to the plate where somebody can't get into a shift because they use all parts of the field, they use the big part of the field, use
two-strike approach,
two-strike approach, can lay down a bunt when needed, all the different aspects that can steal bases, right? Or or watching the first and third bunt. Those guys that can do all those things. How about the
two hit and runs?
Yeah, hit and runs. That's what's fun to watch as a baseball fan. So if you like to watch that aspect of the game, baseball becomes very boring if all you want to do is watch people hit home runs. Because there are days where there's no home runs hit, right? Or one home run hit. You sit there through a 3-hour game and see one ball leave the park. That's not very fun, but if you're
not to us, it isn't.
Not to me, but for me, it's about watching all aspects. And so in saying that, when you can take a kid that can fit into any part of that, whether if the wind's blowing on and you're trying to hit hard fly balls, or if the wind's blowing in, you're needing line drive hits or ground balls the other way, or there's a runner on third base with less than 2 outs, you need a ground ball to the second baseman. That's what's fun. Those are the type of guys that it's fun to watch day in and day out, regardless of what the weather conditions are or who you're playing. And like you said, Braden Smith fits that. He's been really, really, really fun to watch. And to be quite honest, without using his name, we were probably kind of hard on him at the first of the year in that leadoff role and that sort of thing. And so it's fun to see him progress and go from being a JUCO player to being a very, very, very good Division I baseball player that can fit into all aspects of the game.
Going to get into Harrison Bodendorf here before too long, and then all three pitchers. Mario Pesca, wow.
Yeah.
Give me the damn ball, man. Who was it? Rick Sutcliffe. That's exactly who he reminds me of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like watching Rick Sutcliffe all over again. Yeah. Just give me the damn ball, coach. I don't care if it's the first pitch of the game or the last pitch. I don't care. Just give it to me. And we're going to go out. We're going to have an attitude. Yep. We're going to have an OSU. So going back to that, that's what an OSU baseball player looks like. Go to the attitude part of it. When I see Sean Youngerman, when I see Harrison Bodendorf, when I see Mario Pesca, when I see Gabe Davis, the way he looked Saturday night, that's when I look out and I go, that's the OSU baseball mentality that we have come to love as people who have been a fan of this great program for 50 years.
Yeah. So take what we were just talking about with the offensive and defensive side of somebody that can fit all aspects of the game. Mm-hmm. Mario Pesca, it's fun actually going out in the 2025 baseball season and watching somebody that pitches a really good game and in dominant fashion at times without throwing 94, 95 miles an hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's fun to kind of go back maybe 10 years and see somebody that's throwing upper 80s that's having success, right? And that they're pitching. They're not just throwing. They're not up there throwing at 95, 96, 97 miles an hour, but being able to locate and use movement and throw different pitches, multiple pitches, and like you said, with the attitude of just give me the freaking ball, And I think that's what – I think his mentality is what we've talked about sometimes on this podcast of – not missing bats, but missing barrels.
Yes.
Right. And that he's going to throw strikes. He's going to use movement. He's going to change speeds. He's going to change levels. He's going to work the plate inside, outside, and miss barrels. And it's fun watching somebody that can do that without having to throw 95, 96 miles an hour and be able to win a 3-1 ball game with that type of performance. And so, again, for me, what's fun watching baseball is being able to watch all aspects of baseball and not be so one-dimensional or that sort of thing, that we can throw a guy that throws upper 80s. We can also have a guy in Gabe Davis that's throwing, I think he hit 99 on the radar gun the other day. And watching the baseball players that can play all aspects of the game with hitting the long ball, hitting ball in the gaps.
And watching your coach coached all the aspects.
Yeah, and being able to utilize that, right?
Yes.
And I think that's the potential of this ball club, and what everybody's been waiting for this season to see is all those pieces come together. And I think you saw that this weekend.
I think Josh hinted to it in our interview last week too. That's also the future of where he's headed. I think he's seeing that this is the brand of OSU baseball, that for the roster construction that we're capable of putting together at OSU right now, this is actually what we have to be. What we saw this weekend.
Yeah, and can be successful with it.
Absolutely. I mean can be elite with it.
Right. That's what's so beautiful about the game of baseball, right? What do they say in Moneyball? How can you not be romantic about baseball, right?
Yeah.
In that you can be a guy that is 5'9", 165 pounds and still have success at Division I level without hitting 15 home runs a year, right? And still be a very productive baseball player. Not all Division I baseball players are pro material, right? Not all Division I baseball players are going to get drafted, but all those guys in the lineup and in the roster can have an impact on this ball club. And I think you are seeing that from multiple different aspects. Yeah, you've got the Schuberts and the Brueggemans and those kind of guys that can hit the ball 450 feet. But you also have the guys and, the Conovers, the Alex or the Braden Smiths and the Brock Thompsons and those type of guys, Ian Doherty's, those kind of guys that can hit the ball in the gap or hit the ball on the ground and leg it out or sneak one over the fence like Brock Thompson did yesterday. Just hit it just far enough, right? And so I think, like you're saying, as far as building your roster around the multiple aspects, I think that helps you place kids in the lineup also.
It does. It does. Great point.
If you're building your roster on hitting the long ball, right, and you set up your stadium for the wind to blow out nearly every game of the season, then you don't have a lot of flexibility of moving kids within your lineup, right? But you take a kid like Braden Smith, who has hit he's been anywhere from the leadoff to the 3-hole to even the 5-hole at times. I mean, you name it, you can put him anywhere in the lineup because
he's been that guy on both sides of the ball.
No matter what situation comes up in the game, he's got the capability of whether you need a long ball or you need a deep fly ball to the outfield or you need a base hit the other way or you need a ground ball to second base, you need a bunt, whatever the case is, you can position guys in the lineup and not anywhere in the lineup that has that skill set. You can put them anywhere in the lineup to maybe protect a hitter or be protected by a different hitter or whatever the case is. So, yeah, I think for me, I think it's exactly the direction that OSU is headed and needs to head, and that these are the type of baseball players that fit. It's kind of baseball players that OSU fans like to watch, right? It's the type of guys, whether it's your Aiden Miolas and those type of guys that want to be a part of the program and want to come back when they have the opportunity. I mean, you got guys that have been here for multiple years, injury-ridden. Just take Miola, for example. That's from Florida that could in February be playing in a better climate than Oklahoma weather, and they choose to continue to come back. Why? Right. And I think it's a huge testament to the program. And those are the type of kids that OSU needs to continue to recruit and bring in, guys that want to be a part of the program, that assimilate into the culture of the program, that are the type of players that OSU fans like to watch, just gritty, that, they show up they cross the white line with a clean uniform, and by the end of the first inning, they're dirty from head to toe. That's what we like to watch, and so, just all those different phases from the pitching aspect to the offense, defense, and seeing all different aspects of the game, whether it was the long ball, whether it was the bunt, whether it was hit and runs, whether it was a guy that was throwing 99 on the radar gun or throwing 88 on the radar gun. Just got to see a lot of different baseball inning to inning this weekend. It was fun to watch.
Boy, and that crowd was damn good Saturday night, man. Don't think that the crowd didn't have a huge impact on Gabe Davis. I promise you, I was standing up there Actually, I was standing with Harrison Bodendorf's dad. Hey, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. There's a reason why Harrison Bodendorf is so good and so well rounded in his thoughts, and just his execution. All you got to do is talk to his dad for 5 minutes, and it's just a super impressive situation. I also got to meet the Youngermans, got to meet several different sets of parents. What a wonderful weekend. So for Oklahoma State fans that I bitched and moaned about, as far as not filling out the bowl and this and that and all that, you want to be a blue blood, then show up, even when your team's not as good as you want them to be. Yeah. I will tell you this, man, that crowd Saturday night, just ask Gabe Davis. It made a huge difference. O'Brate was electric Saturday night.
Yeah, and you could tell I was out of town all weekend and that sort of thing, so I wasn't able to go. But you could tell a difference watching it on TV or listening to it on the radio. And I just encouraging, like you're talking about, we've talked about it here before. Kind of show up or shut up type deal. Yeah. And there's obviously different things that are happening this time of year, as an educator, everybody knows spring is the busiest time of the year, that sort of thing. But, being involved from either listening on the radio or watching on TV or showing up in person, obviously showing up in person is going to have a bigger impact on the kids and the environment that's there. But yeah, you could tell a noticeable difference even listening to on the radio. When I was driving on the road, you could, there was a vastly different, aura, if you will, just even listening to it on the radio. So hopefully, here's one thing that I really agree with Tom Holliday, and listen to him on the broadcast on TV talking about when is college baseball going to wake up and stop starting the season in February.
What are we doing?
Right now, to me, the type of weather that we're starting to get now should be mid-season, right? Not the end of the season, right? Yeah. You spend 75 to 80% of your season, battling weather and all that sort of thing, which you're always going to battle it in April and May in Oklahoma. You're never going to get around that. But man, how nice would it be to have, 6 to 8 more weeks of this type of weather moving forward. So anyway, but yeah, it's good to see the crowd. And even if you weren't there, it was noticeably different on all phases of the broadcast.
It was. Harrison Bodendorf, man, what an ace this guy is. Absolutely. So here's kind of where my coach brain went. So, because we've been in these regionals where you have the 2 best teams, and basically what it is, it's the best 2 out of 3 with the 2 best teams in the regionals. Yeah. So sometimes when you lose that first game to the other team, it actually gives you an advantage, because then you play a worse team your second game. By the time you get back to that third game, you've used less pitching than the other team has. So my brain immediately went to, when we got the big lead early, hey, this is great, this is fun, but because we got the big lead, UCF is going to go down staff, which we saw. They used all their bullets the next day and the day after, and I'm thinking, if Harry doesn't go like 8 innings here, and OSU is not able to stay down staff, which they brought in Stormy Rhodes. Stormy was awesome. Then this squarely gives UCF an advantage for the rest of the weekend. So, yeah, this big lead is great, but there's another part to what Harry's doing here beyond winning this game. He's got to stretch into 8 innings to where we're not using any of our leverage reliever guys.
Right.
So Harry had several different layers of awesome to what he did. Yeah. Obviously, the performance, 8 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk, professional glove hitter. But then the 8 innings was the biggest part of it, because it saved Gabe Davis for Saturday. Of course, the bullpen got a little bit dicey on Sunday, but it saved Hunter Watkins for Sunday, and that was really our only chance.
Yeah. And again, going back to what we've said this entire podcast, that, just the different phases and the different impact that people are having on multiple different levels from multiple different players is impressive. And I mean, you said it best, not just to have a dominant performance, but to have a dominant performance for 8 innings, right? Yes. That's huge for the ball club, and being able to extend guys. I think you're starting to see that a little bit more across all levels of baseball. Guys get extended more than what they probably have the last 10, 15 years of baseball. So we're in that time of year where, and the weather has impact on that. Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, do you extend a guy 8 innings if it's 45 degrees outside, right? Versus 70, 75, 80 degrees outside. That has a big impact. So the way
this is playoff baseball for OSU.
The way this weekend's set up, like we've talked about, where, all the different phases that was played well, and the weather being intact. And it was like the first weekend that OSU has played baseball where there wasn't some sort of distraction or some sort of element outside of the program's control that didn't impact the series. And so, like you said, him being able to be the professional glove hitter that, like you said, that he is, and to go out and dominate and do that for 8 innings, it's not just a big for him and his personal stats and his personal progression and success, but how big that is for the program for him to be extended that deep to save some of those bullpen arms.
Yeah, I can't go any further without appreciating Ian Doherty. Maybe the most underrated performance of the entire weekend, maybe of the entire season. So the dude gets a couple hits. He's part of 2 hit and runs. One is the runner, one is the hitter, and they both go off. He steals second base, then takes third base on the throw. Then he executes the hit and run in a huge inning that OSU had to have. He blocks the baseball in the dirt, which for Harrison Bodendorf is absolutely huge. He's got to be able to bury that back foot slider. Yeah. And not only does Ian Doherty block it, but he does it in such an easy way to where when Harry sees it, he's like, oh, well, he's got that. I mean, It's just a visual to the pitcher like, hey, we got this, bro. I mean, no problem here. I can do whatever the hell I want with that pitch. Yeah. It's just such a relaxing thing as a pitcher. And then he catches 2 games to where in 18 innings, the pitching gives up 1 run. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that doesn't happen without a catcher that's not blocking pitches. That doesn't have a catcher. That doesn't happen if you don't have a catcher that's keeping the pitchers locked in at all times. That doesn't happen if you don't have a catcher with positive infectious energy that knows when to challenge their pitchers at the right time. Yeah. He threw out a runner. He was big on the offensive side. I can't say enough great things about Ian Doherty. I could go on all day.
Yeah, and you talk a lot, whether it's baseball or football, you talk a lot about margins, right?
Yes.
Playing on the margins or living on the margins. Well, specifically in this instance, when you're talking about pitching and you're talking about the catcher behind the plate, pitchers can't live on the margins if they can't trust the guy behind the plate.
Great point.
To be to defend. What I'm trying to say is Harrison Bodendorf or any of those pitchers can feel confident of burying one in the dirt or throwing a bad pitch, knowing that the guy behind the plate is going to stop it or block it or to be in the way of not allowing it to be a wild pitch or whatever the case is. And it allows those pitchers to increase those margins or shorten those margins, however you want to look at it.
That's a great
in that the trust level that they have in Ian Doherty behind the plate, right? And you see that at all levels of baseball, not just Division I baseball, but high school baseball and that sort of thing. That if pitchers become frustrated with the performance of the guy behind the plate, that those margins start to get wider, whether they get further outside the zone or they get closer to the middle where people run into them. And so to Ian Doherty's credit, and probably doesn't get enough credit, so I'm glad you're mentioning him, for him to go out and to provide the confidence in that pitching staff to be able to live on those margins and make those margins tighter, knowing that that things are going to go well and that Ian Doherty's going to be able to block the baseball and we can bury pitches like you're talking about or throw one up in the – I mean, it's not hard. People don't understand this aspect. As hard as it is for changing levels on a hitter, okay, how hard do you think that is for a catcher
no doubt.
when a pitcher's changing levels and they're throwing up? I mean, can you imagine being behind the plate of catching Gabe Davis and one pitcher, you get ahead in the count and and the pitch that is thrown is up and in, right? And then the next one we're having to bury low and away. You know how difficult that is for a catcher to be able to change those levels and that sort of thing and be able to block the baseball when you're talking about upper 90s up top and then burying a slider in the dirt away and the movement that they have to have and so all that goes to his credit. And you never see a pitching staff that is successful or gets a lot of credit without somebody behind a plate like Ian Doherty. So it's a testament. People don't understand. It looks real easy on TV and that sort of thing, but it is not an easy task, and he provides that confidence for that pitch. We've said this before on this podcast too. Sometimes the best pitching coaches are catchers. right?
Yeah, no doubt.
Because they work with those guys day in
Or
and
best
day out.
managers.
Yeah, and so they understand that aspect of the game. They get to, there's only two guys. They're them and the pitcher, the two guys that get to touch the ball and never play, and so he provides extreme confidence back there behind the plate for the staff. And meanwhile, being very competent in his professional duties and what he's doing back there day in and day out.
You talked about the margins. I talk a lot about complementary baseball.
Yeah.
So when say the other team scores, then come back and score and answer. OSU did that all weekend.
Yep.
That's complementary baseball. Hey, the pitcher gave up a run. We got you, bro. We're going to score right behind it. Okay.
Yep.
That's complementary baseball. Another aspect to complementary baseball is Mario Pesca goes out there and goes all Italian stallion on UCF's ass, right? I mean, It's not just the performance; it's the attitude. It's for lack of a better term, it's the F you, get out of my way type of way that he approaches things. Sorry I hope that wasn't a little bit too harsh there, but that's literally the best way I can explain that.
Yeah.
So the complimentary piece of that. Here you are, Brennan Phillips. You're trying to climb your way back in the trust tree. You're coming in after that performance.
Yeah.
The last thing that you're going to do as a teammate is screw that up. There is a certain amount of duty to that you walk in and you go, I have a duty to make sure that I don't screw this up because Mario just did what he just did. Mm-hmm. That is like the ultimate of complimentary baseball.
Yeah. And all this being said, and the elation that we're trying to exude about the performance this weekend, the one thing that kept coming to my mind throughout the weekend was, one of the things that Coach Holliday said on one of the podcasts he had with you was he used the term transfer of blame.
Yes.
Right. And I think what you're seeing right now is a huge testament to Coach Holliday and the program that he runs, right? And that there's been a lot of times this year it would have been easier to just cash it in and start looking towards next year, mm-hmm. right? That the frustrations with injuries or weather or, heck, a fire coming through or 2/3 of the series gets canceled and all the different things. And as close as you were in certain aspects of the year and other aspects of the year being so far away, I think what you're seeing from this pitching staff and this offensive group is a huge testament to Coach Holliday's process and the program that he runs 100%. And him sticking to not deviating from that and him loving on these kids and constantly encouraging them. I don't know that I've ever seen, I've never seen Coach Holliday ripping a kid after striking out, looking, or things like that, even though it's been frustrating 8 years or times that this year we're striking out 17 times a game or 19 times a game or not having good pitching performance day in and day out. But all those aspects that we've talked about, including Brennan Phillips coming in and righting the ship and that sort of thing, is a huge testament to the environment and the culture of OSU baseball under Coach Holliday's leadership, right? And it goes back to that's the reason why the Miolas of the world continue to come back.
That's exactly right.
That's the reason why they continue to come back.
100%.
Not because they know the program's history, they know the opportunity to be in postseason, have a chance to go to Omaha, but more than that, they know they're getting taken care of, right? Mm-hmm. And they're going to have the chance if they go out and maximize their effort, they're going to have a chance to compete and be taken care of. And I can only imagine how the parents feel about that as well, knowing that they're, because even though these guys are 21, 22, and 20, there's still some mama's baby boy, right? And so
100%.
And
will always be.
Always be. And so anyway, not to take away from Brendan Phillips or any other names, but to me, it just speaks to the testament of the program that Coach Holliday runs and how much he loves OSU and how much he invests in these kids, whether they're successful or unsuccessful at times. We know that this is a game of failure and that, if you fail 7 times out of 10, you're going in the Hall of Fame and all those type of, so anyway, all of what happened this weekend and the elation that we have about what happened this weekend with OSU baseball, to me, is a huge testament, not just to the kids coming out and competing, because we've said that on this broadcast too, is that the program's in place, the process is in place.
We have said
being
that.
coach do it, you got to go out and perform. You got to have results, right? You got to have outcomes. And anyway, All that being said is a throwback to the coaches and Coach Holiday and the program he runs and how excited people should be about OSU baseball because this is the potential. And they put themselves in a situation where you're going to get in the Big 12 tournament. Let's see what happens. Get hot at the right time, see what happens, see if we can get in the postseason, make some noise, rattle some cages, and see how far we can go.
Classic Coach Rainwater comment. We're sitting like in Edmond, Santa Fe one day somewhere, and you're looking around, you go, you know what? The dads are great. You know, you want to have good dads, but I can tell you this. If my moms can kick the other team's mom's ass, we're freaking winning today.
We're winning.
That's stuck with me like glue. That's like the truest statement of all time. Colin Brigham and Jason Jones, middle lineup. Got to say, Colin Brigham, it hadn't been perfect in Big 12 play. He's had his struggles,
sure,
no doubt about it. But, man, that dude has put maybe the most professional at-bats together at the biggest times. He had the big home run. Great. We know he's going to hit home runs. But it's the timing of it. And then that ball that he dumped into center field for the 2 RBI base hit, totally pro at-bat. And then I'll combine him and Jason Jones together. When Jason Jones thinks up the middle and just thinks, use my hands, let the ball get deep, trust the fact that my hands are so fast that I can let the ball get deep. So it's not that I want you to hit the ball up the middle. I want you to aim up the middle, then let your hands work, and they're so fast that you're probably going to pull the ball all the time, but you're not. But you're actually going to hit it because you're not going to be so early on it. So where am I right? Where am I wrong there?
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. And maybe Jason Jones here, I don't know. I don't have the stats in front of me, but probably hitting as well as he's hit all year over the last week and a half, 2 weeks. And I'll say this about Jason Jones too. And again, this is a testament to the coaching staff as well, is that it's no secret the struggles he's had defensively, right? But how many times, Coach, have you seen it where struggles defensively can ruin you offensively?
100%.
Right? That it's very difficult to put your glove down in the dugout and put on a batting helmet and not think about the defensive side when you're standing at the plate. And I'll say this to Jason Jones's credit and to Coach Holiday's credit and the other coaches on the staff, is that has not happened with him.
Nope.
Right. The struggles that he had at third base and then got moved to right field. And then he has the, ball gets to the sun. He picks it up late and has the error in right field.
He's got to catch the ball, period.
Got to catch it. I mean, it is what it is. But for him to be able to put that aside and still go out and perform on the other side of football, and that's the one, the other side of baseball, is that's one unique thing about baseball that you have the opportunity that you don't in other sports, right? Is that if you're struggling defensively, you can impact the team offensively. And I think that's what you've seen from him. Colin Brigham, you talked about having the professional at-bats and having the timely hits. And I think that's another thing that came together this weekend that has been missing throughout the season, was the timely aspect of the hits that were needed.
Exactly.
Even though we had a couple of situations where we had runners on third with less than 2 outs and we don't get them pushed across, those are going to happen, right? But for the most part, you had the timely hits, and it really seemed to show up when Brigham was at the plate. So I don't think you're missing at all on those guys. But I just, the aspect of Jason Jones being able to stay in the psyche of, hey, even though I'm struggling on one aspect of the game, I can still impact this impact this game positively for the club on the other side of the game, and for Brigham to have those professional at-bats like you're talking about, and the timely hits, and being able to shoot the ball the other way or up the middle, barrel one up, or those guys are so strong that a lot of times if they get jammed or hit one off the end of the bat, it looks like a line drive to other guys that are hitting. So, very impressive to see up and down the lineup, just the different aspects and the roles and the impact that everybody was having.
Don't worry, we're getting to the rook. My boy Brock Thompson, man, I love this young man. I've been talking about him all year. The fact that he's had to face all these lefties, elite left-handed pitch patterns, and he's had to fight through it. He's had to literally just deal with failure on that because he's never seen that before. Continue to grind. The fact he's made it to the other side, that's all you need to know about him. But we'll get back to him. So what happened to Sean Youngerman yesterday? I think yesterday was probably the most impressive outing that he's had since he's been at OSU. Now, here's why, okay? He had a strike zone that was a TrackMan zone. So it was a professional strike zone. So whenever you actually get on the TrackMan or Hawkeye, whatever system you're using, what you find is the corners are a lot smaller than you think they are.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the plate's only 17 inches.
Correct.
And so this was a professional umpire yesterday that is used to being accounted for on a TrackMan. So he knows what 2 inches off the plate is.
Yeah.
He knows what 2 inches inside is. And it's a ball. And it doesn't matter if it hits the glove. It doesn't matter if you hit your spot. What we're used to in amateur ball is that if it's 2 inches off the plate or even 6 inches off the plate, and you'd have Ian Doherty who's framing it and does a great job, and he hits his spot, strike. Yeah. Not with a professional umpire. That's umpiring to the track man, right, if that makes sense. Yeah. And then it's a little bit taller at the top of the zone. That always shocks you whenever you watch a professional baseball game. So it wasn't the zone that college players are used to getting, but it was tough because it wasn't what you're used to. So he had to grind through that. Then he had to grind through several different just really unfortunate situations. And then I think Drew would be the first one to tell you he needs to throw the ball to first base and complete that double play there and not give up those 2 runs. I don't mean to be negative towards him, but he needs to make that play the same way Jason Jones needs to catch the ball in the right field. Right. That's just stating facts. So he had a lot of difficult situations. He had a really tough strike zone to throw to, a professional strike zone. And then UCF was fouling off all of his good pitches. Yeah. And so they were just grinding his pitch count because they knew we were going to struggle in the pen, which we did. And so, man, what a tough outing that was. And that dude battled, man. Yeah. Super proud of Sean.
I think that's a perfect example of what we talked about in a last podcast and mentioned previously here is the importance of being able to pitch to miss barrels, not miss bats, right? Because if you get a tighter zone or you get more of a professional zone,
you're not going to strike as many guys out.
Or you can't live 3 inches off the plate and get strikes called, that you need to have pitches in your arsenal that changes speeds, that has movement, that misses barrels and not misses bats, right? And that's a perfect.
To your point, I'll bet he threw more changeups yesterday than he did all year.
Probably.
I don't know that, but
because he's not getting the ball 2 inches off the plate at 94 miles an hour now, right? Mm-hmm. And that anybody that has played baseball long enough, right, that if you've seen 90 plus multiple pitches in a row, eventually you're going to time one up, right? Especially with aluminum bat in your hand, right? Mm-hmm. And so the importance of that. But again, speaking to the psyche and the mentality that this ball club has and has shown at times and really showed this weekend of being able to make that adjustment. Because you know this as well as I do, whether it's pitching or hitting, baseball's all about a game of adjustments, right? Being able to go up to the plate and make adjustments, stand on the mound, making adjustments when you have the human error element to the game, which is the umpire, right? Or the guys in the field. And being able to make those adjustments and still have a quality outing, even though it's maybe vastly different than the previous outing. So, just all around being able, from not just the production, not just the competitive endurance, not just from the multiple aspects of baseball that you got to see, but the mentality of this ball club this weekend just seemed to be on a different level than it has been in the past.
Okay, man, we're going to finish with the Rook. Man, I love Brock Thompson. I mean, the dude has played second, he's played short, he's played third, he's had to face, what needed to happen with Brock, as good as he is, I mean, he's going to be a pro. That's how good he is. I'm just telling you. You can believe that or not, and if you don't believe it, you're wrong. That's the statement I'm going to make on it. He is going to be a professional baseball player as long as he stays healthy. Okay, he's that good. So even having said that, what needed to happen with him was you get him in here, you put him in the right matchups. If it's a left-handed pitch pattern, you give him the day off, you let him see it, and then you just put him in the best matchups and he hits 300. Yeah. That's what should have happened with Brock Thompson.
Yeah, healthy growth.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's not what happened with Brock Thompson because of Aiden Miola getting injured, because of Avery Ortiz getting injured. And so Brock Thompson had to face every left-hander. He had to face every pitch pattern that was not conducive for, what did you call it? What growth? Successful growth?
Healthy growth.
Healthy growth. Yeah, he was not put in a situation for healthy growth. He was put in a situation to where, hey, kid, there's the defense. Go jump into it, and you're either going to sink to the bottom of it, and we'll go get another player next year, or you're going to learn how to swim. And that dude learned how to swim.
Absolutely. And that's when you said we were going to end with him, that's exactly what's coming to mind is the things that you were talking about is he wasn't – OSU wasn't in a situation where they could have him as a spot player and have healthy growth and consistent growth and kind of manage the frustration level that a freshman's going to go through. He's been on the field since day one and hadn't come out. And like you said, not just that, but playing multiple different positions and
different parts of the lineup.
And this is a kid that everybody was talking about as a can't miss kid coming out of high school anyway, right? And then he gets thrown into the situation that he's had to be in. Nobody's fault, right? It's just the situation that OSU was in, where they weren't in a position to allow him to grow healthily and steadily and being able to manage the game or the outcomes for him. And
manage the results.
Manage the result based on, like you said, the matchups, or maybe playing more midweek games but not as many weekend games, or whatever the case is. I mean, he's had to go through it trial by fire, right? Like you said, throw him in the deep end, see if he sinks or swim. But again, it's not just a testament to how well he's been able to handle that situation, because would somebody in Brock Thompson's situation of playing multiple positions, been in the lineup every day as a true freshman, would he be able to be in the situation he is right now and be as successful as he is if he didn't have the support and the mentality of Coach Holliday and how he views these kids and how he wants to take care of them?
And a dad with a hell of a background in baseball. His dad played at OSU. So.
But you know as well as I do, sometimes that's more of a hindrance than it is a positive sometimes, right? In trying to live up to that expectation. Or my dad's been coaching me from the stands or at home.
It can be, for
18 years, and now I'm getting coached on a different level from a different aspect or from a different mentality. Sometimes that can be as big a distraction as it can be a positive influence. Not that it can't be not that it's not a positive influence, but sometimes that can be an extra hurdle that those kids have to overcome versus somebody that,
Good point.
Doesn't have that. So anyway, it's just, to me, seeing him where he is now, and the confidence level that he has and the way he carries himself. And there's been very frustrating parts of the season for this program and everybody in particular at different parts of the season. But for him to be in a situation where he is right now, where he's producing in the way he's producing, and doing that at multiple different positions throughout the year as a true freshman that hasn't had the opportunity to have the breaks or the rest of maybe like your Garrett Scholes or those type of guys that have been spot players, is not just a huge testament to him and his ability to perform and the mental aspect of it, but it's also a huge testament to his coaching staff and being able to support him in that endeavor and ride or die with him.
Yep. Got to have a good weekend against Baylor. Got to have a good weekend against Arizona State. You've left yourself, you talked about margins earlier, you've left yourself with absolutely zero margin for error. Now you're having to kind of scramble around and win way more games than maybe even you're capable of doing, which means you have to get hot and play maybe above your capabilities. But this team is capable of doing it. So got to get hot, stay hot these next 2 weekends through the Big 12 tournament. Final thoughts? Yeah,
I think the key word is stay hot, right? We talked about this 2 weekends ago where we said, this is the potential. This is, now you've shown that you can do it. Now go out and prove that you can do it consistently. And then we kind of flubbed at Cincinnati. And then we come out and do it again this weekend. I don't think it's about getting hot. It's about staying hot, right? Yes. And it's that, again.
So basically, other than Saturday at Cincinnati, this team's been playing good for a while.
Been playing good baseball. Been playing good baseball. So it's about staying hot and staying in that win column, whether it's a 12-0 win or a 3-1 win.
Yeah, like the Saturday game's the game we haven't won all year.
Yeah.
Like we come out of that weekend a month ago with a 2-1 record, and we outscored the other team 40-6.
Right.
But yeah, we didn't win all 3 games.
Right. And this season, that 3-1 Saturday game turned into being a 9-3 loss.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
There hasn't been a lot of opportunities for this program to win a 3-1 ball game. Even going back to the early part of the season, I can't remember, we were playing midweek where we won like a 3-2 against somebody we should have blown out. Maybe whoever it was, I can't remember who it was. But we're talking about that's what it takes to be a good ball club, is having to win the close ball games when you're not scoring a lot of runs. And so anyway, it's not about OSU getting hot. I think they've got hot. They've got hot and real hot in certain parts of the lineup. They've got hot in certain parts of the rotation. It's about staying hot, keeping that competitive endurance that Coach Holliday talked about at the beginning of the season, competing every pitch, every inning, every game, and staying consistent and consistently performing well, and getting that postseason, see what happens.
Yeah. Got to stay healthy too. When Drew and Alex ran at each other, that was like right in front of my wife and I.
What are we doing?
What the hell is it? And you can see Josh walk out there like, what the hell am I getting ready to do with now? It's just another one of the, I can laugh now because everybody's okay.
Right.
And by the way, Alex Conover, standing ovation to that young man. He's another one of those. When I look at him, I go, oh yeah, that's an OSU baseball player right there. That's what it ought to look like. So Coach Rainwater, thanks for making it rain, man.
Yeah, go Pokes.